Yes.
Yeah, there should be a comment thread that you can see from all the different platforms. I'm going to
Yeah.
turn on the light. I'll be right back. That's better. I've been up since 4 working.
Since 4.
4:30.
You
Yeah.
don't sleep a lot?
Hmm.
You don't sleep a lot?
Sometimes I do. It's just been weird lately. The hours have been just weird, and
Mm.
I've been staying up. I sometimes I stay up what I guess would be late, you know, due to circumstances in my life. But that makes it challenging. Makes it real
Mm.
challenging.
Well,
Looks like we're live. We got a couple of people in here. Let me double check and make sure. Sometimes we get a little glitch here and there. Okay, we're good there. That looks good. Yeah, we're all right. Okay, if you come in, let us know. Here we go. They're starting to come in now. All right, it's our second show of the day. We got a new friend coming through, our dear friend and beloved sister, Kathy Mason. Hello, everybody. This should be interesting. As usual, I don't know much about our guest, but this is what this show is about. It's conscious conversation about real-time intel, what's happening, about the person and what they're doing and that type of thing. So welcome, Fran Bailey, to Soul Speaks 5D, to Soulgy. Thank you for coming in and honoring us with your presence and sharing space with us.
thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And you're out of Cincinnati,
Yes.
and we're in the middle of what some people call the greatest transition ever, Ascension. I don't know if it's a program or if it's an actual thing, and there's all these different narratives, and you get to meet people, and there's no coincidences. I like to ask people on the show, have you always been this weird, or did you have a wake up experience?
Mm. I think I came in that way.
Yeah.
Yes, as a young child. So sort of saw things and knew things, and um, I just thought everybody else did too. So yeah, I had near-death experience and all kinds of messages coming in, and lots of guides at a very young age, and talking to the world, and well, that's just the way it is. So
Did
um,
you ever get off track? A lot of people come in to the show and they pretty much say the same thing. And then at some point, either through parents suppressing them, telling them that their imaginary friends aren't real, or just the typical get out of high school, try to be normal, which is a big joke, and go into the matrix and
mhm.
the hamster on the wheel, and then having a reawakening of sorts. Did you have anything like that happen?
I had, yes, quite a few times. In fact, I was, I think I grew up in a metaphysical home, so it was pretty
Hmm.
open,
Wow.
and positive thinking, and so I was kind of ahead of the game. And I grew up with a lot of music and dance. My father was sang, and my mom danced, and so I had a
Wow.
lot of the artistic background and metaphysical stuff. But I think the biggest thing is when I had that near death experience, it's like, okay, there's a spiritual thing happening here, a transition, and I can feel it. And I knew it.
How old
Um,
were you?
12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was 12. And then, after that, I went, okay, something's different, but then I'm going to live my life like everybody else, right? And then they tried to kind of pull me in at age 19. I was living in San Francisco and hate, and the whole meditation thing was there, and they were trying to pull me back, and I wasn't ready. So these things I would go through my life, and these energies would come in. I said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And then, did the kids and marriage, and
There you
then
go.
then it hit me. Then they found me. They
When
found.
was that? Was that on or about 2012?
That was about, no, it was, well, let's see, it's about, mm, no, 2000. 2000.
Okay.
1999, 2000, long time ago.
Yeah. We've had a lot of people come in here. I mean, 2012. We had somebody come in the other day. It was 2021.
Oh, wow.
Which is amazing because they're up to speed with everybody else overnight. It's crazy. But yeah, we've had people come on here from the late 1990s, 80s, 70s, even in the 60s. We've had a few, like 4 or 5 from the 60s, that have been aware of this time coming. The connection that you had and the information you were getting, when did you start to understand that this time was coming, that we kind of marked loosely as 2012 and to this point? When did you get an idea that it was coming, or that it would occur?
About 2002.
Okay. That always fascinates me. That so many of them are women too. Obviously, leading the way here. The men are catching up. The masculine, I should say. I shouldn't say male, female. Really, not at this point. I think we're past that. But how does it feel to look back from 2024 to 22 years ago, when you were told this was going to happen? It's actually a few years into it now. How does that feel?
It feels validating that I wasn't crazy, and that my crying and my how it happened and how I evolved and how I stuck with it makes me proud to do that and have walked that path. And it's been a struggle, but I stuck to it, and I think it's worth it.
Many of the people that come on the show also had an estrangement from their family. Now, a few of them do come on and say that, I had the coolest mother and father in the world. Sounds like you're in that category. Did you have a point where, because of let's just say the extreme of your in comparison to everybody else, understanding and even experiences where you were kind of on the outside looking in, not necessarily estranged, but like nobody could relate to you, that type of thing?
Yeah, that happened a lot.
even with your parents, even with your metaphysical parents?
They, my mom had her own sort of spiritual experience, but it was very private. And I went beyond that. And my father was kind of much more open to, experiencing different things. He wrote, he was a very interesting man, and sort of missed his calling, I think, in the long run. But, they wanted me to fit in a certain mold, and I kept pushing, no, I'm going to study young. I'm going to, I'm going to go that direction. I'm going to find out about life. I'm going to, be a dancer, be a philosopher, be someone who investigates life. And that's just what I'm here to do. And, it was quiet. I think they kind of looked at me, but they didn't say you're wrong.
Right.
They're fascinated by, what are you going to do with your life?
Still parents, the parent programming of the human condition, right? Even cool progressive parents still have that conditioning, because I mean, you can't be here if you're not still subjected to it, right? Nobody's walking on water. No. And I did go through a little bit of your stuff, and I did see something involving dance and a few other things we can talk about. But you said that you wanted to be a dancer. You wanted to dive into philosophy and that type of thing. Did that start from San Francisco, like in your early 20s? Was that when it all started?
That started, music, Harry Belafonte, the interest in music and dance. And it was just a natural process for me. I just was always dancing. And of course, it was... I could hear the rhythms. I could understand the music. I understand that math and music, the physics of it, and I could translate that through my body. So the interest and the pull of that was that I didn't have to communicate through my voice. I could communicate through my body.
Right.
So that outlet.
Right. Exactly.
The other fascination was that I'm actually moving my body here in the music, translating energy, and it was all about energy. And then
Yeah.
it went from there.
Yeah. I've not been a lifelong, I have to like music, love music my whole life. But when I woke up, most people know this, will tune in, but um, it was a very quick thing, like a lot of people have, like an overnight thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose to go homeless for a couple of years, but
Hmm.
I had just the prior 2 months to that spent hours and hours after playing the guitar for a few years and not having one. I taught myself how to dance, watching my shadow on the fence at night after the kids go to bed and everything. So that was a big deal for me during that 2 years. So I'd say 6 nights a week on average. I was in the electronic and hip hop clubs, dancing by myself in the middle of a crowded floor. And
Good for you.
I never really, thank you. I never really heard anyone put it the way you did, but that's what was happening. I wasn't really like conscious in a way that, you know what I mean? Like you're an artist. So, I mean, when you start to think about what you're doing, you can't do it. It's
Right.
when you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
So that was really, I always felt like it anchored my soul. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and you're still dancing now, right?
Well, I mean, I as much as I can. But
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, if I don't injure myself, I just try to stay. Yeah. Yeah, I love,
um,
love dancing. So
so, okay. And so it's around 2002, you start to get some heavy downloads. And a lot of people, I'm sure like yourself, just a matter of when it happened, but uh, at some point you kind of get an idea of what your purposes might be in this capacity
hmm
post awakening, post understanding something's about to go down.
right.
What kind of work have you gotten into over the years, and what are you focusing on now?
Well, in 2002, I was doing a lot of training and workshops and became an energy healer and also dancing. And 2002, a word was channeled to me, and it was Shiva,
Uh huh.
seeking harmony and energy, voice, and action at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I went, okay, what is that? And it basically said this is what you're going to be doing, and it's a self-healing method which I've designed for the past 20 years.
Right.
So the purpose and the reason is that I'm here to facilitate ways to heal yourself.
Right.
So that's
Right.
really the main emphasis of the method. Number one. Number two, it's just um, I'm here to share the gift, but also look at what you have.
Right.
So that's the important thing, is that finding what you have. And so I'm here to suggest that.
I noticed in doing the show, and the advantage of doing the show, when you're doing the number of shows that we've done over the years, each week, each month, is you get a pretty good feel through the show of the evolution that we're all having,
Mhm.
especially as more and more people are consciously or at least openly stating that they're awake, or they're aware, or something's going on, or this isn't all there is to it, or however you want to put it. But I noticed toward the end of 2019, many of the practitioners, and many of them have stories like yours, um, uh, in terms of like a primary offering or even a primary connection. But it just seems like things have moved so fast these last, now what are we talking, since 2019? That'd be 4 or 5 years. But uh,
Yeah.
toward the end of 2019, I noticed because many of the people that come on the show are practitioners, energy workers. I noticed they started to talk about a change. And the change I could describe in many ways, but I would just say over the next couple of years, it was discussions of dropping modalities, customizing their sessions to where they were not even knowing what would happen until the session, presented itself.
hmm
And also a real shift, which has really gotten loud in the last, I would say for me anyway, the last 6 months, certainly this year, a real shift in terms of maybe you could say the mechanics of energy sessions, however whatever type they might be, in that um, it's more of a self-empowerment kind of thing going on now. Um, and it's kind of weird because it's creating, I guess you would say, positive stress on many of the um, what identities, belief systems, gifts, blessings, things that were and are a part of our transition that we call ascension, that are either being modified or dropped, and ultimately forming this kind of a field where everybody's sitting at the round table of spirituality, and nobody has a silo. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Almost like I would say like by example, the teacher coming down and sitting with, you know what I mean? Like are you noticing this the last few months?
Yes, I think
Or,
that I said this to Kathy. I think the veil is gone.
yeah,
It's like suddenly it's just, oh, this scrim is gone. We are now, it's just full force. We're in it without question, without hesitation.
yeah,
So, when a client comes or they're drawn to me and I say, okay, probably we're going to do 3 sessions because you're ready to roll. And I'm
right,
going to come in and we're going to go pretty quickly because I'm going to tell you or suggest what you might be thinking and validate where you are. And that way you can go. You can move forward and find that place in yourself. And therefore there's another being that's part of that process. So it's part of this. We're on a bridge and we're all going across and we're just asking people to come with us.
right,
It's
right.
like a stream of consciousness. That's why it's like a stream of energy that is like going forward. And so we're gathering together to do that. It's a force.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you finding your clients, are they coming in the door more newly awakened? Is there any type of, let's just say, socio-demographic, you know, aspects that are changing as who is walking through the door and what they're bringing to the table, you could say?
Yeah, I think some have been on a conscious path for a long, long time and haven't
Mhm.
found any relief or any, it's like, okay,
Mm,
but you already have it. It's already there. We're just going to open that door. It's that
right.
kind of someone who is really advanced. Then there's someone that's just coming in right away. And men, actually, more men,
That
which
was
is,
my next question. Yeah.
yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fear is that they might feel and they can feel with me and feel with themselves or
Yeah.
whatever, giving that avenue to say, it's okay, just do it.
Yeah.
Just know that let's look at it in a male point of view. And I think that's really important to give those scenarios so that they don't feel overwhelmed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That seems to be rising now
Yeah.
very, very rapidly. I feel like I've always been a kind of a part of it. I've always had a desire to, but I haven't really seen the level of, I saw some things last year, some things at the end of 22. Last year, I noticed the men around the summer were starting to come on the show and they were starting to open up a little bit. But a particular, I would say, a particular persona in that it was already a man that was more open and at least open to the feminine side of it, things and so on. But now it seems to be accelerating quite a bit. Even if I look around into the non-light worker, star seed circles or whatever you want to call it, ascension circles, I'm noticing it. And again, it doesn't always fall 100% on any particular gender, and we understand it affects all of us because I've seen a lot of that too. I've seen a
Mm-hmm.
lot of masculine, going through fits and spurts in women.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been interesting. But to your point, on this whole feelings thing, uh, I think you really put it well. I don't know that it's some things were, and really a lot of things, right? Human beings, it's the things that we don't know that we fear, right? Which I always say, so we want to go from our uncomfort zone where we know what's going on. We'd love to leave, but we don't, we hesitate to go into that unknown comfort zone, which is really our natural nature. But I see that with men, and even in my own evolution, going back to late 2019. And I tell my wife this a lot, because I think you hear a lot in the discourse between Mars, Venus, male, female in the body. Uh, you don't talk to me. You don't tell me what's going on inside of there. And I finally realized it 3 or 4 or 5 months ago. Uh, I can't tell you what's going on until I know. And the only way I'm going to find out is to be by myself.
Right.
And I think that's what's starting to happen with men. And I think it is the feminine in them, kind of the residual or after echo,
Yeah.
uh, being that they're a melon form, because the melon form wasn't allowed to go there. You know what I mean?
Right.
You
Right.
couldn't go there, and that's a big thing that you just mentioned. I mean, that's a big topic, and I think
It
there's a
is
lot.
a big topic, and there's something that this is a very interesting thing that I do with men, and I find that or someone who's in their head all the time,
Yeah,
male or female. So I'm a Enneagram facilitator, so I understand the personality,
right,
the head type, the body type, or the heart type, and for the head type who are constantly running doubt in their brain and they're asking questions all the time. So their energy's up here. So
right,
I'm reading their energies. Okay. So if I want them to consider what they might be feeling, I say this: what do you think you're feeling? Because it's it goes here first, and then they have to process. If you say, "What are you feeling?" they flip out. So what do you think you're feeling is a process of analyzing what you might be feeling, not necessarily having to respond, but just actually saying that,
yeah,
bringing that feeling to the surface, so to speak.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think making that distinction, man or woman, is very accurate, because a lot of people will say the mind is the masculine, the heart is the feminine. That's another way to look at it. But you're right. That's I mean, I had it last night, and I don't have it. I was went to bed at 10, woke up at 12, and I'm in my head for 2 hours, going, "What in the hell is this?" I think another thing that has come into play, though, in the last year and a half or so, has been the consciousness and connection and communication with the body itself.
Mhm.
And men or women, and women, you hear a lot over the last year and a half about, how do I feel? How does the body feel? Not so much, not necessarily only restricted to what is my emotion,
Mhm.
although that's important, but also, what am I feeling in my body, and where, and what does it mean? See,
Absolutely.
I feel
I'm
like
all about
this,
that.
right? So I think this is part of the new technology. I know people have talked about it, and there's been kinesiology, and there's been this and that, but I think, this what I picked up the last year and a half doing this show is just there. Like, what's going on? How does your body feel? You
Right.
ask me, do you
Right.
want to go do something? And many people have gotten to the point now where, oh, hang on, let me check. How does
Yeah.
my body feel? And
Right.
here's the great thing about that is, you don't even have to know why. You just know, right? I mean,
Exactly.
obviously,
I mean,
we're perfecting.
that's what I
Yeah.
teach. I mean, you have to embody the work. Martha Graham, who's a modern dancer, fabulous choreographer.
Uh-huh.
You know, the body doesn't lie. She always would say that. So the body will always respond to whatever crisis has happened. And I just wrote about this in my blog about, you might have a crisis, but 6 months later, your body will respond. For instance, like my dad had cancer, he died. A year later, I got cancer. And so it's just like, okay, your body's shutting down. 3 kids, pressure was on, dealing with my mom. That's when the method really started. I just said, okay, I learned how to shrink the cancer cells through an energy healer. Started working on myself, stage 4.
Wow.
Cancer. And no, they wanted to take everything out. And I said, no. And so I went to a female doctor. She said, you don't have to take everything out. You're good. So I worked with her and did very minor things and did energy work every day on shrinking the cells and knowing that my body is whole and it's healthy, no shame, no guilt. I am perfect and this instrument's going to work for me, not against me. So that is really, I'm all about that.
Yeah. And again, that's another common attribute, I think, is these modalities and processes that are that the person pulls in as the conduit that they are. That is out there, like you said, it's all out there. It's all in here, it's all out there, same thing, right? But that they actually, they're their first client, basically. Their own first client. I have a friend. I have many friends most of them been on the show that had instant healings or healing similar to yours that might have occurred over a few weeks or a year or whatever. I can think of my one friend that they were going to cut his leg off, and he wasn't even officially awake, right? But he got a download. Maybe that was where it started. He got a download the night before the surgery, and he woke up the next morning and said, no, I'm going to be blending CBD from this day forward, and I won't be getting my leg cut off. And it's like years later, it's like years later, and he's killing it. And other ones that have had literally gone to the doctor, stage 4, or go home, put your affairs in order, come back 3 weeks later, and there's nothing there. I mean, this is gold, right? I mean, this is how do you extrapolate that to your fellow brothers and sisters and souls, I guess, by what you're doing and those like you, right?
I mean, everything is energy. Everything is energy, and I think even a thought, and that perpetual thought of fear can infiltrate in the chakra system, in the body, in our aura, and it can stay there. And if you're corded to it, then it's not going to go away.
Right.
Until you pull your energy out of that thought, which is energy, then it becomes less important. Then you become more important. So as a priority, we should be senior, not egotistically, but this instrument should be part of the language.
Yeah. It truly is the universe, right? I mean, it really is at our command. And what you're saying about fear, and as we've gotten into this thing further with the whole quantum thought reality, I've been having some things go on in the last 2 or 3 months that's been pretty eye-opening, which is, in short, like I said, 12 years of doing this, and I guess 9 years of doing videos, literally like 7,000 total, and just having this constant thing every day, right? Every day, no matter where I was going, what I was doing. And then it all comes to a stop because my body says, you got to stop, right? And I started to see some things I hadn't seen before, which had to do with thoughts, but beyond our own self, although it probably all is self-talk, right? If I'm talking about somebody else, I'm actually talking about me. You know what I mean? But and what I noticed was, or maybe I underestimated, or maybe whatever, it was an epiphany that um, we do. The thought is the most powerful thing. It's, you know, you speak something, you can say I'm sorry. You do something, you can look to rectify it. But you think something, it's a bit hard to keep track of all those.
Right.
And what I noticed was the power of those thoughts, especially when two or more people, you know, join the ranks, you know, and it say they were directed at a person, place, or thing, the effect that it has on that person, place, or thing. Because if a person, for instance, is you know, fearful in one regard or weak in one regard of their field, and you got a couple, two, three people going, "Hey, this person's this and this person's that," uh, they could penetrate that field. Our thoughts are powerful. You know, it's obviously an inside game, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's one of the things that we're coming to is in the sense of, you know, you're me and I'm you, and we start to really get beyond the words and actually walk the talk.
Right. Well, I think there's there's constantly your energies are running into someone else's energy all the time. And so there's this word that I love, it's called enmeshment.
Mm.
And sometimes you just can't help, your energies are right there, and whatever's happening with that person may be enmeshed with this person, and what's mine, what's theirs. How do we separate? How do we know? How do we focus on what's happening to us? So that's grounding. We ground in our own body to understand how we're responding. So the speed in which we are responding is what I help communicate. So the efficiency of what you are actually feeling, knowing, hearing, seeing, all those come into one thing at the same time. So it's more efficient when you can just, oh, there it is. There I go. There I go. That I want that person to love me. Oh my God, there I go. So
Mm.
I'm out of my body and saying, I need, but really I need,
Right.
you know. So not one person can provide everything for you, obviously, but it's just those catching those moments, like pushing too much on your kids or your husband or your wife, or
Yeah.
imposing your energy. I think that's a really important word.
Yeah.
If physically, if you can feel that, if you're imposing your energy on someone and they are in resistance to it, there's a block there. So if
Yeah.
if you're going forward and say, oh, that person's not, I'm too much, I'm going to sit back here and then I'm going to respond to what I want to say in a calmer way, or vice versa. If there's someone coming at you, you can pull back and say, okay, I'm going to let that go around me so that I can process it. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Or if somebody comes at you, just don't do anything. That
Right,
makes more
right. You just
sense to
say,
me. Just
mm-hmm,
don't do anything, and then it doesn't attach to you. I
mm-hmm,
mean, it's all moving so fast. That's the main thing I've seen in the last certainly this year,
yeah,
is the level of common awareness on a daily basis. Although I'm not much on social media, but it doesn't take much. You just look at this and you look at that and you say, "Oh my God, it's there, it's there." Or I do a show and everybody says it, or somebody puts up a post and everybody says yes, and it just seems like there's a real house cleaning going on that's never gone on before. That's putting everybody on the same level. That's throwing out, or putting on the back burner, or uh, being modified. I would say radically. These things that brought us to the party, basically. You know, I was so and so in a past life. I've got a connection to such and such. You know, all these different things seem to be really being not scrutinized, but being sifted.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it's just, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's changing the whole landscape of everything that we've because I mean, if you look at the movement, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
it really did coincide with 2012. That's really when the internet really started to blow up, and that's when you started to see empath groups and light worker groups and starseed groups, and then there started to be some congealment, and there started to be some dialogue, and you know, and expressions took on more multi-dimensional, multi-frequency kind of qualities, and you know, and I think the other thing too, which I don't know if you could speak to this through your history of your practice, but the speed of information. I mean, if you think about how much we learn as
Yeah.
children, and that I don't know what the numbers are, but it's like, you know, you learn 10,000 things a day as a 2-year-old, and then it goes and goes and goes, and then starts to drop at 18 historically until this time. So if
Yeah.
you think about the internet, the speed of information, speed of learning, it's really had, and not to mention the heightened frequency by those individuals who are doing the shadow work, doing the zero pointing, as well as the newcomers coming to the planet that are clean. These kids, these
Mm-hmm.
golden children, that
Mm-hmm.
it's really just changing everything so rapidly. But have you seen, you know, have you seen evidence of that over the years? I mean, I imagine your practitionership was probably totally different 10 years ago than it is today, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. A lot different. I think that yes, I think that people are. I think because of COVID, we were woken up very very quickly. I mean,
Yeah.
we are getting to the aftermath of that is now the I think the study that we all did then. I think now it's beginning to I'm going to do something with this now. I have to manifest this now because I'm not going back to that
Right.
prior.
Right.
You know, I think you know, it's interesting. You asked that question, and I think when I do a meditation or a clearing, it's not necessarily what I say, it's how I say it because the energy is being transferred. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's that is palpable. This work is palpable. The method's palpable. I think people are beginning to understand, oh, that window is open for me and I'm going to go. Um, so the speed in which they're getting the information, as you said, is much faster.
Yeah.
So there isn't resistance,
Yeah.
as much resistance.
Yeah. And I think, you know, for all intents and purposes, I think everybody that's familiar with this type of thing, which is probably everybody here, you know, a session is as good as the openness of both people, right? I mean, that's pretty much what a practitioner will say. They'll say, you know, I'm going to start my session, whatever type it may be. I'm going to open my field 360 degrees and invite the client to do the same. And there you have the beginnings of a potential vesica Pisces, and you have an interaction, merging, whatever you want to call it. So to think that that is occurring on a mass level,
Hmm.
I mean, I've heard a lot of people say, even in the last 3 or 4 months, especially recently, that they can feel the stuff coming in. It's coming in so fast that I don't even have time to figure it out. And you know how it used to be, like, you know, if you go back 5 or 6 years, we'd get 2 or 3 max, you know, really probably 1 or 2 major collective downloads in a month with plenty of time to integrate and recover before the next one. And now it seems like they're coming every day, day and a half. And it's really, humbling, and it doesn't make you feel small, but I think, in fact, you do feel bigger. You feel more substance of yourself, but you realize that there's something bigger than all of us that's kind of going to have its way. And then you start to question all the things that you do and go, wait a minute, do I need to keep doing Sology after 12 years?
Right.
Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? It's really interesting, especially when you consider the movie script playing out, which doesn't
Right.
seem to have the impact that it had a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Definitely, I can see why we came for this time, no doubt. Looks to be very special.
So, would you care if I wrote this book, Emergence, and in 2019, and I channeled the energy before we started.
Okay.
And I wanted to read this because I think it's pretty apropos.
Okay.
Okay. What we perceive to be real and authentic might be right in front of us, beside us, or inside of us. Holding on to doubt can cause us to misinterpret what we already know. How we attach ourselves to doubt can be part of our personality, causing us to put our personal mark on what has to be true, should be true, and ought to be true. As we investigate these multi-dimensional parts of ourselves, imagine we could release the grip of doubt and feel the quality of energy shift and change, and trust ourselves in the present moment. It's about the trust. Being in the heart of direct knowing occurs only in experiencing experience. This collective energy of experience is what we live and strive for as we embrace love, compassion, faith, and truth. So it's just trusting it, and then it's like you're changing every day. These levels are changing every day, and it's exciting. It's exciting. It's scary. It's kind of weird, but
it is scary at times.
But
and you can have all that in the same day. You can have it in the same hour. You can laugh and cry at the same time.
Right.
Because I think that pretty much what you said there. I mean, like it's like saying you wake up and there's a higher truth today. Like I used to tell myself in the first couple of years, ascension, because that word was new to me. 2011, 2012, I didn't know what it was. I mean, whatever. And but that you can get on a scale of 1 to 10, you can get to a 10 today. And tomorrow you wake up and there's another scale of 1 to 10, and what was 10 yesterday is now 1. So it's and it really taught me to stop putting EDs at the end of my words and putting ING. And then when I hear myself even recently saying I've cleared that, or I'm not like that, or I'm okay, and I don't know. I don't go into defense, but I just go, you know what? Why don't you take a breath, just as you do when things are rough? Take the same breath when things are on the highs, and just stay in that middle ground. And I know that sounds a bit cliche, but there is a certain kind of an EKG thing that happens. You know what I mean? And if we can keep those ups and downs kind of more centralized, that seems to be, beneficial to us. And whatever's beneficial to us, I think we've learned is actually best for everybody, right? I mean, you're a practitioner. I mean, you did it, right? I mean, you put yourself in the best possible spiritual health. And I'm sure without asking that those around you benefited from that, having the most of you they could have. right?
Mm-hmm.
To reflect themselves, right? It's fascinating.
It is.
Energy.
It's fascinating. I have a question for you.
Hmm.
Um, could you describe, let's say you're getting a moment of a download or some information. Is this energy the same as it comes in, or is there a level of confusion and then suddenly it's clear down the road? Or how would you describe energy?
Well, okay. The first thing I would say, it's a great question. The first thing I would say is it's not me.
Hmm.
I'm a I'm some type of and when I say that, I'm talking about any song that I write, any show that I do, any wisdom that I might pull through, or whatever the case is. It's not me, and I think that's a big part of what we're going to see, or what we're seeing in the light worker starseed communities, is that over identification with what brought us to the party.
Mm-hmm.
It makes us unique. It's part of our soul makeup, but it's not our identity. And it can easily be construed that way by the beloved universal equalizer I call the ego.
Right.
Um, and
Perfect.
so I think, number one, that would be the first thing. The second thing is I question everything.
Mm.
I don't care if it comes from your channel, my channel, because we all know that there are many voices that make the one voice, both in my inner verse and the outer verse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I try to keep that in mind. I push back, and I think we all get a voice sometimes. And typically for me, it's the Mother Goddess, uh, that you just know. You're like, that's the mother. I, sir, two bags full. I'm going to get to it. But even then, I pushed back at times,
Mm-hmm.
and said, why? I'm a sovereign soul. I will stand in my sovereignty. I mean, I can remember years, because we have different icons that are different faces of the universe, depending on who we are, that we set up for us to communicate with, so we'll be able to absorb it. And for me, for many years, it was Mother Mary. And I remember Mother Mary took me through a week-long initiation a few years ago, and it was one of those shamanic things where you go in the door one way and you come out at the other end going, what the hell was that? Like, you told me one thing coming in and it's the opposite going out, and there's the shamanic lesson, right? Anyway, she said to me, who do you trust out there, on the earth, And I
Mm-hmm.
said, me. Who do you trust most? And I said, me. And then she said, who do you trust most out here, to include me? And I said, me. Not
Mm.
because I was smart, because that's where the lesson ended up. And she said, yes, you're exactly right. Don't ever forget that. So I feel like that there is this godliness in us that is the part of us that may be the biggest part of the disclosure, the biggest part the biggest fear we have to overcome, or the biggest truth that we'll accept. Um, but yeah, I think probably questioning things, checking myself, and then I think to really like type or conclude your answer to your question, sometimes it's all of the above. Sometimes it comes in, I don't know what came in. Sometimes you know exactly what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you know exactly what to do, and you take 100 steps that direction over a couple of days, and then you find yourself mired in the muck and in doubt, and in that, you know what I mean, in that death knell,
Oh
and
yeah.
that get me out of here thing. And then other times, which I think is becoming more common, you mentioned confusion. When the confusion, even chaos, uh, disorientation, discombobulation, when you kind of throw it up and go, okay, not like I surrender, white flag, I'm weak, but more like, okay, I give you this. I give you this. There is something here greater than me in this time and space in this realm, and I can stand by that, right?
Right.
I'm not saying I'm not. I'm not sovereign soul, an aspect of the universal. I'm not saying that I'm not God or goddess. I'm just saying that in this space and time, with everything that I have in my multidimensional makeup and my human being present and cared for, I don't know. Basically,
Yeah.
I mean, I was praying like a baby. I was praying like I was when I was a little kid last night, and not out of fear, not out of weakness, of just out of I don't know. But I ask for blessing. May I make the right. You know what I mean. Just I
Well,
want to serve. I want to serve like you. Yeah.
and it's. I think when you face death, or when you face something that you have to, completely change, and fear of the unknown is fear.
Yeah.
And if you said, if you just give it up, if you would move out of your own way,
Yeah.
then you just see the yellow brick road and don't anticipate. We anticipate. And the
Yeah.
problem is that's when we get in our head, and it should be, it ought to be, and has to be a certain way. And we can't help not to judge. But if you want to experience the unknown, then you have to let go of the known.
Yeah. That's right.
And, that place of emptiness, and what you just did energetically, you gave it up. And I love that. And you really, so what I saw energetically is that you definitely gave it up.
Yeah.
And part of that is that freedom.
Yeah.
That's cool. So anyway.
Yeah, my friend, I have a friend, she's very high frequency, very, very high frequency. And I guess I was like her case study for a long time, because she just couldn't figure out why I couldn't operate in a structured, controlled manner, which is kind of interesting because I had a long corporate career and consulting career where I was extremely detail oriented and doing everything to that level, right? Super structured and all that. And she, after we had a festival, and she was a part of it, and it took a year, and a year later she came to me and she said, I figured out what it was, what the lesson was. All this time, I thought, speaking of herself, that you have to be in control to create from a controlled environment, and you were always creating from chaotic environment. And she called it the way she said it was, she said, you've reached a point where I think she called it the road of fate, the fated road, versus the fear road, maybe. And she said, on the fated road, you're okay with whatever happens. And I think that's probably, even though that doesn't sound as juicy, you know what I mean? But I think that's probably what that is. I think it's being in a space where you're okay with whatever happens. I reunited with my mother after 6 years, and I moved her out of a senior living and moved her back home so she could have some peace. And she's made that. She figured that out pretty quick. Like,
Yeah.
I don't worry about money. I'm not going to worry about governments. I'm not going to worry. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of like carries over into each and every episode. Each and every interaction, each and every task, each and everything that you're involved in. Yeah, because you're right. What'd you say? You start to expect things. Yeah, you start to. Yeah, you know what I mean. So you're already gone. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you look at that energetically, you've moved out of your body.
Yeah.
So that thought took you out of your body. So you're not present. And
Yeah.
so that kind of, the minute that anticipatory energy starts taking over, then it becomes that should, have to, ought, and then it's like, okay.
You're gone.
Yeah.
You're
So,
gone. So we spent, and you did this. You do this. I mean, we spent so much time unhooking from our traumas,
mm-hmm.
right? There's no difference with the future. It's a trauma or it's a burden, uh, and a depletion to oh, I'm going to be okay when I get to this point, or I'm going to when I get this house or this job or this relate. I love Joseph Campbell,
Mm-hmm.
and he says in one book, or as an interview with Bill Moyers, he says eternity is here. If you can't get it here, you're never going to get it. So this is all we have. This
Mm-hmm.
is it right now, this moment. That's really all we have. And I used to say all the time on little solo videos I would do, I would say, I don't know. You can't prove to me, even though I know I am soul. That's my own truth. But the reality is, I can't prove it to you. You can't prove it to me that we're eternal. The only thing we can prove to each other that we're both in the human body right now having a conversation. We don't know if we'll be worm dirt when this is all over, but by the same token, we don't know if the very thoughts that we carry forward about what we will be what we will be.
Mm-hmm.
So if I think I'm worm dirt and life is dirt, or life is, then maybe that's what happens. And then if I believe whatever, because from what you do and what you've done in your own body, in your own life, the power of belief, faith, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like we're getting down to the nut cutting now, and I feel like we're into the no BS zone, and we don't even. I think the days of like you were talking about intrusion, or I call it like stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
But
Imposing.
yeah, imposing. Yeah, I don't feel that we're going to have to even worry about that in the near future, because the universal is so in our face now. Like it's almost like it is really. I even got this like 4 or 5 days ago. It was kind of a big activation, and then it went. So from this point forward, every single thing that you do, like bigger than ever, in other words, will you be in a place of integrity and dignity
Right.
and compassion?
Right.
Will you actually do this? And sure enough, within 24 hours, I had some things happen, and all these little decisions of integrity lined up. And they were just little bitty things that wouldn't make a big difference, but they make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
You
Well, it makes
so
sense.
hmm,
After you hook into that energy, that integrity energy, then it falls right into place.
hmm.
Just as you said. I mean, it's just this. We're in a very beautiful time, scary but beautiful, I think.
I think it's all of the above. And I'm a big one too. On I'm not fearful,
Yeah.
but I do get scared. Or if I say scared, I mean like nervous, scared. You have a doubt, But as far as if there's going to be an earthquake or a flood or comet or whatever, I really feel, that obviously we go on.
Mm-hmm.
But to have that bypass in my consciousness in terms of how I think, speak, and act is taken away from my experience. My experience is asking me to be here, open, and
Mm-hmm.
in this unknown space. The universe always told me we're going to give you 90%. The other 10, you're never going to know.
Mm.
that answer's never changed in 12 years, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
Wonderful.
But it is. I mean, it's profound. It really is. I mean, if you just look at like false flag scenarios or false flag frequencies 10 years ago compared to 5 years ago, compared to 2 years ago, especially after COVID,
Hmm.
everybody, I have when I, like a lot of people, when I started on Facebook, um, I didn't start doing Sology till 2011. So in 2009, I got on, one summer, and two or 300 of my high school friends, became friends, right? And then after I started Soulgy, a bunch of them left my friendship. I think there's like 6 now. But
Uh-huh.
there was a class reunion uh, group site on Facebook, and that reunion was going to be in the summer of 2020, which was the year COVID started, like in March, right? So um, when it happened, they canceled it, and I mean to tell you, the comments were so just shut down, closed, and fearful.
Hmm.
Like it was literally like it was like the end of the world thing. And then the craziest thing happened about 6 months ago. And by the way, where I grew up is a very conservative Bible Belt type of place, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and so about 6 months ago, I don't know how I landed on that page. And I think they might have mentioned something about having another one, right? All the comments. Somebody made a comment about COVID. There was 150 comments, and every one of them, like to your point, regardless of whatever they may or may not have done or whatever the case is, again, it's all energy, right? I've
Hmm.
got friends that have taken the jab and some that haven't, and some, whatever. But my point is that the level of openness and the level of awareness that these comments, what a few years later, that these people, I mean, it can't just be this group. I mean, this is huge what's happening, which I think is another thing that's changed drastically or radically in these circles. Is the We used to hear a lot, most people aren't awake.
Yeah.
Most people, now I don't hear it as much. In fact, I hear people saying, there's people that I never thought about this or that, and oh my God, they're telling me this and telling me that. And then
Hmm.
on top of that, you throw the kids in, these young people,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
COVID babies.
It's fascinating. I remember it was a Christmas party um,
Mm,
this year, and there was a couple who was having it, and very, very conservative. And I talked about this comment about spirituality and love, and if we don't have each other, who do we have?
right.
Support each other in these next years, and
Good.
because that's all there is.
Yeah.
And I saw both of them the next couple days or something, and they looked at me and they said, "What you said was so profound. I can't forget it." Somebody that at that level, it was like, okay, cool. you
Yeah.
know, So it again, it's how it's transcribed, it's how it's said, it's you go into the heart, you know, because if we can do that and just keep sharing that, to me, that's a
Yeah.
winner.
Yeah. Well, you said it earlier, and I've noticed a lot over the years, the video productions I've done over the years, um, especially like when I first started, because when I first started, it was just a phone, me walking down the street,
Yeah, yeah.
and 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 you get the memories on Facebook, and they'll come back up, and I'll look at it every now and then. I'll flip one on. I'll be like, oh my God, like it's like really, really confronting. But I've seen it there, and I've seen it with others. it's not even what they're saying. Even today, even this conversation, it's not what we're saying. Although that's relevant, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that what people are picking up on is that truth vibrational frequency. Uh, People recognize, you know what I mean? It's beyond words,
Mhm.
and I think that's working to our advantage too, as you start to see the deconstruction and the irrationality of, you could say, the apparatuses or institutions of the realm that have been, put at put at the head of the table or whatever. But yeah, it's I'm excited to see, you know, if and I know we are, if many of us are truly embodying this energy, as you put it, which I think is really the easiest way to do it, and to really bring that into here, what's going to happen with our collaborations and co-creations now? You know what I mean? Like where two or more gather. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be much more efficient if, you know, we sort of lost that. I think we're getting back to the body, but this is such a perfect instrument.
hmm,
This is an incredible instrument. So I have these videos that I during COVID, and I downloaded all this information on 20 minutes of, acupressure points. Where do you put your hands? How do you brain balance? How do you find your thinking? Get rid of your thoughts. This is the grief. This is CV17. This is an acupressure point, working on grief, working in the organs, clearing the organs. So this constant, I call it body intelligence, where you are focusing on what's happening inside of you. That is the inner dialogue. And the more that inner dialogue is present, the easier
right.
the communication, because you're more present.
Yeah.
You're more
Yeah.
aware of what's happening inside you. And I think if that we are all doing that, it's like, oh, no doubt, no question, we're going to create. Let's do it now.
Yeah. And, and I think that's another thing too. Like I remember like watching, not watching, but, experiencing the show over the years and, be like 2016, 17, 18, 19, and people are like, hey, we're going to do this community. We got this land and, we're going to do this. And to this day, haven't found one yet. Now they're getting better and better, but they get over to start the community and then this person's taking ownership of the land. This person's taking
Oh,
ownership. And so it's like, you still have that. I mean, this is really a situation for all of us. I mean, there's no copyright, there's no trademark, there's no ownership, there's no possession, only what we get possessed by that thought, basically. But
mhm.
it's really about people showing up with what they have. And that's really it. And I know that's really, a verbalization, but it's an energetic statement. But see, this is what I find fascinating. It's almost like we want to have our cake and eat it too, and yet what we're hanging on to, we're so scared to lose, which is who we are, whatever who we thought we were. But tell me, I mean, all the stuff that you've done with people, and even in your own right, and I can say for myself, every time we give it up, we never lose it.
Mm-mm.
And whatever it was that we thought we were going to lose isn't the only thing we get back. And when we do get that back, it comes back like 100-fold. So maybe we're getting to a point now where we can let all that stuff go. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a definite, I would call it a requirement of accountability. If you come to the table,
Yeah,
show up, and you show up with accountability, it's done. I mean,
that's right.
you then we're all on the same page. There is no doubt. we just go with the flow because the flow has been already created.
Yeah.
And that's divine.
That's a really good point. Touche.
And-
Touche. Yeah, because here's the thing. We want authority.
Yeah.
Or we think hoarding possessions or holding on to identities or over identifying with our, hired identities, that we have some type of authority.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. There's just like a disconnect between true what we think is authority and accountability, right? But over here on the other side of the fence, that's really what it is. You're right. You cannot have the authority and not have the accountability.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, right.
Who am I to as I said that these early energy healers and healers, like, just remember, honey, you're not that special.
Right.
You're special. Boy, you got to know you're human.
It's like thinking people talk about you all the time.
And, it's like the minute I thought I was special, it's gone.
Well, and that's the crazy thing. It's always a paradox, right? Like I would tell my kids, growing up, how kids are. And I'd be like, you're not the center of the universe.
Right.
And then they'd hear me preaching down the road going, but you're telling everyone they're the center of the universe. I'm like, well, okay, it's both. It's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, let's go over to, if you don't mind, let's go over to your website. Can we do that?
Sure.
Hang on. I want to make sure we get this in. There it is. Okay. Boom. Now, I know you have a YouTube presence. We might stumble across that here. Can you see this all right?
Yeah, I think it's if you go up to let's see, Shiva, go over, well, let's see, about.
Let's influences. Where do you want to go? Media?
Oh, well, first of all, if you go down the page, you can download a free meditation at the very bottom.
Hang on a second. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay, hang on. I hadn't loaded. Okay. This is the Shiva method. This is what you have brought in for 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And
by the way, everybody, this is franbaileyhealer.com. Let me put that in the comments on the different copy. Okay, I'll bring that back later. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so this is the Shiva map of all the chakras. So I work in the chakra system with everything, body work or meditation, and you can download that free meditation there. And so it's constantly about the body. So the body work is about clearing the chakras, acupressure points. Meditation is through, clearing the chakras and the energy field. And Emergence is a book about, again, clearing the centers and what you might be in resistance to. Enneagram, I touch on Enneagram. I'm an Enneagram facilitator. So that's how the method began, actually. It finished with the Enneagram. I started doing meditation, had private clients and classes, and did energy work on the table, or did, across from me, I would read the energy with a client sitting across from me. And then developed the body work. And then Enneagram came in about 2015 or something, where I actually look at my own, excuse the expression, stuff. And it really evaluated that, wow, okay, I've got all these things that I need to look at. And boom, I typed myself and went through 2 years of training about personality disorder. A man named Khrushchev, who's Russian, studied movement all over this world and decided that we are all one, but we are a mind type, head type, or body type. We tend to go towards one more than the other. So that's sort of the study. It's evolved through the years, and that's what Enneagram is. So, so it's body work, meditation, clairvoyant readings, and the Enneagram. So you're touching on all those things to get you to the place of your own spiritual growth. So mind, body, heart, soul, and see where the resistance is and what direction you need to go in. So basically, the best work I do is, I do like 3 intense sessions, and then I've got you going, and then we can do like a check-in every couple months. But when you're ready, and I'll just plug right in, either on the Zoom or person one-on-one. It could be, you could need work on the table. I work with a lot of doctors because they need to clear their energy and understand that people are awaking, and they need to understand alternative methods are out there, and they better know about them because, it's important. And so it's wonderful to see these doctors waking up and finding their own energy. And so.
Yeah, that's mind blowing.
Yes, it's wonderful.
I've been, you have a really comprehensive website, by the way.
Thank you.
There's a lot to it.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Yeah, because in fact, I got to go now because I'm going to take my mother to the doctor. But yeah, being around her and then just being privy to that, having I don't know, probably 2 or 3 a month doctor visits. It's interesting to see now post COVID what it looks like now, what it feels like now. It's a bit strange. I mean, some places I'll go and it'll be like it was in 2021, and some other places I'll go and it's really wide open. I'm not just talking about mask protocol. I'm talking about just the way people are. Are they loose? Are they uptight?
Right.
Are they in a box of boxes? Are they, I don't know. It just seems like every time I step out, I see another person who just stepped out. Right.
Right.
No, I'm not going to do it that way. No, I'm not going to do that. But I think that was probably, I mean, I'm 62 and we've had a lot of world, and I've had personal, major events and all that. But I think that there's no question that the whole COVID episode was really a huge awakening, at least potential, that I think a lot of people took, which is what you said a while ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes blessings are burdens and burdens are blessings.
Right. Right. Somebody had to wake us up.
Further wake us up.
Yeah.
Well, looking at some of these comments I see on the Lightworker news feed, I wonder a little bit. I'm a bit perplexed as to how not everybody. It doesn't seem to. I don't know because I don't count, but I don't know the percentage. But some of the political ferocity, ferocity, I should say, ferocity. I kind of wonder.
They're stuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's got blind spots. I get that. And I think the big lesson for us is, to be in compassion beyond, because to be in compassion isn't as easy as saying I'm in compassion. Being in compassion is saying, I'm not going to say that sarcastic comment. I'm not going to, or I just saw somebody that said, Trump is this or Trump is that.
Yeah.
Right. If I have a charge, I need to go work on myself. It's not about that person. You know what I mean? There's something.
I think also that, if you feed into it, you're just feeding it.
Yeah.
And I choose not to feed it because it's another growth plate. I would say that it is definitely another growing pain that is there, and it's there. So
yeah,
all we can do. I like that, being compassion.
Yeah, that. Well, I mean, compassion's no judgment, right?
Right.
And I can tell you my health. I think we've all had like stages, but I know my spiritual health had a lot of expanding time periods. But but I would say the biggest one was in 2021. Well, right. I mean, right when the COVID protocols got really, strict, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember I started juicing like 90%, of my diet, and it was all this stuff would come up. You know how it is when you're fasting or you're juice, the stuff or meditating and stuff will come up, and it was just like a fast track. And I
Yeah.
just remember it'd be 10 times a day, 20 times a day. The thought would come in. I'd go, no judgment, Todd, no judgment, to myself for the first time ever in my life. I was doing, yeah, isn't it crazy? All the love we want to give, and we didn't know how to give it to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that hard. It's not that hard.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah.
Just gotta unfold and get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of our own way.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pleasure meeting you. Maybe we can get together again later this year.
Sure. I love that.
I see Kathy's in here now, and thank you, Kathy, for hooking us up. And yeah, we're going to be having some really cool stuff coming out of the Soldier Network here over the next few weeks. Things that we've been waiting on for a long time, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with Kathy and all of her connections. And yeah, I can feel some stuff coming on. That's another thing too about this climate now. It's just nothing seems to be a rush.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be a steady climb. And I like that because I think that's one of the big things to your point earlier about anticipating something is because we always want it to be, come on, let's go,
Mm-hmm.
But that's another telltale sign is being able to take a breath and say, it comes when it comes.
Comes when it comes.
If it comes.
Yeah.
All blessings to you and yours.
Thank you, Todd. Take care.
And thank you for coming in and sharing space and honoring us with your presence. And
Thank you.
yeah, good luck in all your endeavors. And I hope to see you down the road.
Your mom.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Take care.